Thank you all for being here, and particularly Olaya and Nelly for inviting me. I was listening the previous speakers, and I have a lot of inputs related to their speeches. So I will go probably through them as I speak. So my presentation is focused on bridging the gap from science to citizen engagement. We will go through the current challenge, the science society divide, the citizen science as an emerging solution, the roadmap proposed, and the essential skills need. So the current challenges are information gap, the difference on how well-informed the people feel about scientific and technological developments, the distrust about the growing distrust that we have in scientific institutions, and it is a concern, and the misinformation, the proliferation of misinformation and pseudoscience that persists. So if we go deep into each of them, the information gap is the percentage of citizens who feel well informed about science varies depending on the country, the survey method, and the specific topics that are considered. However, studies generally showed significant portion of people that feel less confident about their understanding of science. For instance, at the States, surveys like those conducted by the National Science Foundation found that around 25-30% of the public feel they are very well informed or somewhat well informed about science and technology. But this percentage can fluctuate depending on the specific issues such as climate change, vaccines, space exploration, and the type of media the people consume or education levels. If we go through the distrust, that we have some data from the Eurobarometer on science and technology from 2 years ago. So the data that we collect here is the public interest in science reached 58%. The EU citizens say they are personally interested in science and technology. By other hand, we have confidence in science. 60% of the respondents say they trust scientists and the information that they provide. While the perceiving understanding of science, about 50% of Europeans say they felt well informed or somewhat well informed. The impact of science on daily life, most Europeans, the 70%, agree that science and technology improve their quality of life. And the public awareness and concern about climate change and healthcare issues remain high, while most respondents supporting the idea that we should focus on solutions for problems such as artificial intelligence and genetic technologies, for instance. And again, the information sources mostly used are traditional media, TV, newspapers, but also online sources for sure, as websites or social media. And these are the primary ways that people access information about science. So another source that that I looked through was this welcome.org report, a survey of over 140,000 people in 144 countries towards attitude towards science and health. So the key findings here are the trust in science correlates positively with education and income. The religious groups were less likely to trust scientific explanation when they conflict with their beliefs, and alternative medicine supporters were more skeptical of pharmaceutical companies and mainstream medicine. Another source is the Pew Research Center, which states that younger adults between 18 and 29 rely more on social media for science news, making them more susceptible to misinformation. The lower income and less educated groups report less trust in scientific institutions, and religious, again, conservatives express skepticism towards evolution, climate change, and vaccines, particularly in the States. So we go through the misinformation. Misinformation refers to false or inaccurate information, which is spread regardless of the intent or yes, regardless of the intent. It could include unintentional mistakes, misunderstanding, or misrepresentation of facts. For instance, sharing some misquote scientific study, spreading rumors about a celebrity, or not updating all information. What is the role of the institutions here to implement policies promoting open science practices, to incentivize collaboration between scientists and citizens, and to invest, for sure, in programs for its scientific literacy? So here comes the citizen science as an emerging solution. Citizen science involves public participation in scientific research, bridges the gap between scientists and the public, driving innovation, contributes to real-world conservation, and public health initiatives. The power citizen science has is it increases research capacity by enhancing data collection and analyzing capabilities, educates the public by providing insights into the scientific process, address real-world problems, contributing to solving pressing issues, and enhances community engagement, promoting the participation in science. Now we move to the roadmap. I wanted to introduce you by identifying first the key stakeholders with some tools, define the strategy following the IDA model, which I'm going to introduce you, the implementation plan with which methods we will use, and how we are going to monitoring all these actions that we perform. So first of all, we should identify these key stakeholders by mapping them, categorizing them, and analyzing them. Some tools that we have, for sure, the empathy map. It's a visual representation of the attitudes and behaviors of any individual user. It captures and represents the single user emotions and thoughts based on first-hand data or also interviews. So here we have this map, which we place the user in the center, the individual stakeholder that we want to reach, and we should analyze what he, she sees, hears, says, does, and thinks and feels, and that give us their fears and their expectations. Another tool for categorize them should be the stakeholder map. So it's also a visual map with four quadrant influence interest matrix, and is normally used in project management to identify these stakeholders and categorize them in terms of, as I say, influence and interest in the project or in the company or whatever. This stakeholder map might also be referred to as stakeholder matrix. And it brings us to the innovation models and the evolution has over the time from the triple helix to the quintuple helix. So at the beginning, the knowledge economy, the triple helix, that includes the academia, industry, and government, and then move to the quadruple helix, also including the community, the civil society, media, and value-based social considerations. This model recognizes the importance of the public engagement, social responsibility, and user-driven innovation in shaping the direction of the technological or not technological developments. It's considered these social aspects of the innovation ecosystems. But this is not enough. So we move now to the quintuple helix, which includes the socio-ecological decisions. It includes the natural environments of the society, and the economy should also be drivers for knowledge production and innovation. This approach is in line, and thus is why is in the middle of this draw this, to the sustainable development. So here we go to the IDA model, which for sure you all know, mostly Claudia, I suppose. So this acronym of this model stands for the attention, interest, desire, and action. It's a marketing and communication framework that stands these different steps that we mentioned before, and it is commonly used to guide potential customers or audiences or communities through the decision-making process. So even this model is prepared in the beginning, more focused on marketing, is very effective when applied to science projects, especially when we are trying to communicate research findings, engage stakeholders, or mobilize public participants. So if we go one by one for the different steps, first of all, we should focus on capturing customer or public or citizens awareness first by using compelling and eye-catching visuals, break through the noise to get noticed, and implement strategic and target advertising. Then we must go to create this interest by keep customers engaged with our content, provide information that is relevant to them, highlight the most unique features that we have. To continue with the desire, create the strong emotional connection, build product or service or results appealing for them, and showcase the key benefits that they can obtain as well. Bring us to the last part, which is the action. We should encourage to purchase, to participate on conversion now, provide a clear call to action, and simplify the buying process for customers. In this case, simplify the participation, involvement, cooperation, whatever in our projects. Okay, then for each of them, there is another roadmap that we can explain here from the levels of the people participating in science. When we are in the informed level, scientists usually just provide information, but they are not seeking for public influence. But when we consult them, public feedback is sought, but experts still retain the decision-making power. When we engage them, the public interacts with scientists with some shared input into the process. And when we collaborate, the full partnership, where decisions are made jointly with power shared between participants and scientists. All these levels and roadmap is needed to, at the end, give the community the leadership and to influence the local decision makers. So the power transfer level. For an effective communication strategies, for sure, and basing on our analysis and categorization of the stakeholders, we should adapt, tailor the messages for the different audiences. We should use the appropriate communication channels where they are and determine the frequency of the information we are sharing with them. And then we should monitor all the activities and all the different parts of our projects and engagement strategy. So the data quality, the participant engagement, for sure, as it was mentioned before, the project progress and outputs, but also the ethical standards and data privacy and the scientific impact that we have. So one by one, for instance, monitoring data quality, the success of a citizen science project often depends on the accuracy, as we say, and reliability of the data collected by participants. We should monitor this data. We should set clear guidelines and use training and tutorial materials for them to understand how we are going to deal with this data. Monitoring participant engagement, We often rely on volunteers who can come and go, and it is essential to keep participants engaged and motivated. So, some examples that we can use to monitor this engagement is track metrics, perform survey feedback and direct communication, behavioral, as mentioned before, analytics. We can use gamification and milestones, community interaction, social media and outreach, etc. The progress report of our project, I suppose you all know, we setting milestones and goals, evaluate the data collection trends I mentioned before, project dashboard, and tracking funding and resources. As mentioned by Tojin, also the ethical standards and data privacy are very important. So we should ensure the involvement of this public by informed consent, data privacy, and ethical reviews, conflict of interest that they might have between them or within the team, project team. I'm monitoring the scientific impact, for instance, by tracking scientific publications, metrics on scientific contributions, feedback loop to participants. Which technology, for instance, we can use for citizen science? For sure, digital platforms for participation. There are a lot of them. Mobile apps for data collection, online database for global participation, or machine learning integration for our data analysis. Another key activities, as we said before, the data collection, but also we need to analyze the data, observation and reporting, fieldwork and surveys, educational outreach, mentioned before as well, collaboration with scientists, monitoring change over the time, and the public engagement is for sure which we are seeking in these science projects. Core skills for citizen science observation. We should carefully observe and accurate record data, establish protocols precisely for data consistency, understand scientific concepts and research methods, and translate those to the public languages, not only the language, but their backgrounds and expectations, and use online platforms and tools effectively. So it is a continuous learning. So I really want to involve you and take action in finding projects, exploring citizen science projects, which nowadays there are a lot. Continue learning new skills, which is every day. There is a new tool we can use for our projects to engage stakeholders. And okay, it takes time because it's a new tool. We have to learn which value offers my project from the different that I already have before. But it's very interesting. Every day we are learning new methods, tools, experiences, etc., and contribute and make a difference in science. And from the previous speakers, I just take my notes and I bring podcasts and books to read, which with this raining weekend that we have is a very good opportunity. From Tujin, yeah, these podcasts are really interesting. And the cybersecurity we use in our projects and with the data collected from the public at European projects, we should develop this data management plan, which is also related to Shefal presentation, and we should be very consistent on how we protect that data and what the stakeholders and the participants want us to be public or not. From Cefal, we do collect our project stakeholder outputs. We do the reports on their emotions because it is important for us in our surveys, workshops, or different activities that we have with them. Their feedback. We really try to measure and take care of their emotions by knowing them. With the normally we do the empathy map by our own, which what do I think they feel, they say, and then we work them that empathy maps with them, so we have the clear vision and we know the mistakes that we have before. So it brings us to the it's more a qualitative input that we look at a quantitative one. From Claudia, I'm also taking my notes. And this is all about creating a culture within the projects, with the society. So mostly, as I resume, we should know what okay, once we know what our project is about, because we have different scientific projects and each one is different from one sector to the other, so we have to learn from our background what we can communicate to the different stakeholders, and we have to have a clear purpose and create this trust on the citizens to explain there how our projects are going to could impact their daily lives, how we are trying to solve some specific problems by taking them into the project by different activities that we prepare with them, like collecting data with surveys, workshops, field days that we have, hackathons, several and a lot of different interactions that we try to have with them to collect, to engage, to at the end to give them the power, the knowledge power to make decisions properly. And that's all from my side.